The Cinderella River, an original story by Dawn Nelson. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a river that was so clear you'd be forgiven for thinking it wasn't there at all. 23 miles she travelled across the shingle, chalk and clay to the sea, and as she did, she sang. For thousands of years she ran, and you can still hear her song today, only her voice has become a little quieter. Her song starts at the foot of a Hampshire hill, where her voice rises from the layers of chalk beneath the downs, and the Meon is her name. She is a swift one, a treasure. Her singing tells us of an ice age that carved its path and held her safe in its frozen arms until the waters warmed and the river ran free once more. This river has sisters, 3 in total. They are the Itchen, the Test and the Hamble. They gossip with each other, turning pebbles and meandering through the woods. The Meon sings of how she wishes she were as fast and as strong as her grander sisters, and the brown trout listen, and they tell her she is just fine. But the Meon remembers her glory days, the days when at the very end of her journey she would burst out into the sea, where there was a bustling port. Ships would come and go, voices would shout of spice and silk, and kings would arrive from faraway lands. On the way to the port, she would run past cottages providing them with clean, clear water. Along the way, she'd be thrown up and over the watermill and through the farmers' mills. But she didn't mind. She was useful. She was powerful. Sometimes she'd find herself spreading across the meadows where the farmers allowed her to push out across the plains, to flood them and provide lush grass for the cattle. But again, she didn't mind. They'd soon let her return to her pebbles and the brown trout. They never kept her for long, and she ran fast and free. The manor house was the first to channel off some of her water. Next, it was the working folk, who split parts of her in 2 to create a stream which they could use for cleaning. Then the tanners used her, and finally the canal came, and the Meon felt her power draining away. They took her song and halved it. Hundreds of years passed, and they forgot she was there. The rain ran off the fields, and her waters became muddied. She was used as a way to carry away the waste no longer wanted, and soon she was so full of chemicals and dirt that she started to slow, and her song grew quieter. She disappeared under the roads, and more people took her water than she could serve. She tried her best, but the rain that took years to flow through the chalk and eventually into her took but a moment to undo. Sediment builds up, runoff runs fast, and pollution hides within her. But there are some who are remembering her worth, and the brown trout have heard them talking. The trout suspend themselves in the water and whisper to the stream. Every day they tell her she is needed, she is important, and she must not give up hope. They tell her how people are repairing her bed where scars of concrete were used to stop her from spilling out into houses. They are doing this with berms of shingle, and in the shingle, life is thriving once more. Within the berms, her pebbles dance, finding hope in new life. Along her whole stretch, wildlife is being nurtured and finding their homes once more. Fish ladders for the trout, homes for the water voles, and banks for the kingfishers. Meanders are formed to slow her down as she races for the sea, and flowering rushes, marsh marigolds and whirlgrass grow. Otters and white-feathered egrets, brook lampreys and kingfishers. Instead of a bustling port at her sea mouth, is a reserve for the toing and froing of wildlife. This reserve is known as Titchfield Haven, a site of special scientific interest. And here gather bittern, glossy ibis, sandwich tern and brent geese. The Meon has hope, she has life, and she is clear in her purpose. She sings to you and asks for your help. She sings on behalf of her sisters and those to come. Make your pledge for the chalk streams, the grasslands, the woodlands and the heaths. Help nature do its job and give it hope once more. Tell the trout what you are doing. Let the hanging willow know, and tell the river you hear her song, and sing it back to her.